episode 2 of Cross Atlantic Gaming. I'm your host, Risky the Kid, and joining me this week are my co-hosts, Chocolate Bear.
How you doing, guys?
And DocH1X1.
Hey, what's up?
How you guys been this week? It's been 1 week since episode 1. Now we're on episode 2. What's been going on?
Not
Either
much.
of you.
And we were both waiting for each other.
Chocolate, how was your week?
Busy week, family, looking after the kids. Not much gaming, unfortunately. Managed to jump into State of Decay 2, which was good.
I would say we'll hold off on that because I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're all going to have a lot to say on that. Did you get anything else played besides State of Decay 2? Really? At all?
Yeah, I may have jumped into FIFA as well. This will be a
Nice.
long running.
I was asked how Pro Club is going.
Got promoted again, so we're in
Nice.
Division 7.
Nice.
I've got some footage to edit, which is mind-numbingly boring. 2 hours worth of it. Yeah, so that will be up shortly once I get my backside in gear, and then I'm off to see Solo tonight.
Oh, nice. I went and saw
Nice.
that. It was Friday night. Good. I think you're in for a treat.
Is it good?
I thought so. I was nervous about the casting of Han. I think it's just kind of a different take on him, which I think is fine, I guess. But everything else about that movie is really good. So I think
Good.
you're in for a treat.
Yeah,
Speaking of things we do outside of video games, though, Ross had a question that he wrote in. He wants to know, what do we like to do at our leisure besides video games? So what hobbies do you guys have outside of games?
Go on, Doc.
not a lot lately, pretty much. This is my last week of a lot of extra work, but normally, if that's not, just a bunch of overtime is going on, I would probably say I like to tinker around with electronics and stuff a lot. So I just got to building a PC for a friend. So I really like to, I guess, dabble in that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
I don't know. It's pretty much that, or just like me and my wife like to go hiking a lot. Not like hardcore hiking, but just like 3 or 4 mile trails, stuff like that.
4 miles seems like a lot. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but like if it's like a high graded like trail or like a considered like moderately difficult or higher, like it could be kind of rough. So
No, I was saying that sounds like plenty.
yeah. So it's one of those things where like somebody listening being like, they don't hike the Appalachian, what a bunch of wusses. But it's like, but yeah, I'd say that's probably the other main thing me and my wife like to try to do, especially during the summer months and stuff. And but other than that, yeah, mostly just fool around with some electronics, like making PCs. I got a couple Raspberry Pis I made recently for some friends.
For
may or may not have
emulator
downloaded ROMs and stuff. I don't know. That's illegal. I would never do that. But if they did, that's their prerogative.
Yep.
But
not your fault.
yeah. So pretty much that, though. Pretty much hiking, video games, PCs, stuff like that.
Nice. I'm definitely down with the hiking thing. We have 2 dogs, so
Oh yeah.
going on hikes benefits everyone. Makes them tired, so they're not barking the whole
Right.
time I'm trying to record a podcast. I'm also big into tabletop games, on and off, but I've got a giant collection of like board games and stuff like that, so I do a good amount of that. But then, other than that, TV and movies, I think they take up all the time that's not video game time for me.
Right.
So do you
Yeah.
guys hike just to get out, or do you do it as a kind of a fitness type?
Probably both. My wife, before I even met her, she liked to do that, and that's something she's got me more into. And that we happen to live in an area to where there's a lot of state parks and stuff around, so there's no shortage of like a bunch of different like trails and hikes and things like that. So it just kind of works out to where we're in an area where it's pretty convenient. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things to where basically as soon as it warms up, or to where it's at least like 50-something and above, we pretty much try to make a point to go out and do it like once or twice a week if possible, depending on our schedules. But it's a good kind of fun activity that we can kind of share and stuff, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's not really like an exercise thing, although it is probably like the most exercise I do get.
So yeah, same. Yeah.
It's definitely more of a just get outdoors, so I don't feel like a lazy piece of shit when I'm just sitting here.
Because let me
at my
tell you,
desk
I
for
am
like
inside
8
on
hours.
video games. Yeah.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Yep. Something feels off about being locked inside my office when it's 85 degrees out and sunny. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it though.
Just don't get it. Myself, I'm a little bit like you, Risky, kind of TV, movies, and obviously the only free time I get, me and the wife sit in front of the TV. Most of it's kind of dug up with the kids, taking them out, trying to walk them like dogs to knacker them out so they can go for their naps.
That's we're the same person pretty much.
I mean, yeah, dogs, kids,
Yeah,
whatever.
same.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they all near enough do the same thing up until a certain age.
Eat
You
shit
just can't
and-
lock yours outside.
Well, you can,
Or
but
can you?
it would
Oh,
be
wow,
frowned
and-
upon, wouldn't it?
Okay, what's the timestamp here for me to?
As long as the neighbours
Yeah.
don't see, it's fine.
All right. So, Doc, did you get to play anything this week outside of State of Decay?
I got back in Sea of Thieves a little bit. Nobody freak out. Just gonna leave it short for next week. But yeah, I got back into that a little bit just to kind of
Make sure you're ready for the Hunger
yeah.
Deep.
Well, limber up a little bit, I guess, because I guess they have changed. They've made a lot of little quality of life changes since I've last played. So it was cool to see a lot of that, and pretty much same game is still there. So if anybody's worried, it's still there. Nothing major has changed. So
What?
yeah, you know.
Did anyone see on Twitter, someone tweeted out they got a gold hoard of like 60k?
I believe it because they have patched. So that's the one thing I wanted to try out yesterday. I actually got on with a buddy yesterday and was like, supposedly they've patched where you get better rewards and you're not just getting like, you're not getting like a level 35 gold hoarders and you get like 5 castaway chests,
Yeah.
which is just like,
The worst.
FML at that point.
Yeah.
And we tried it out, and we got like 3 maps, and 2 out of the 3 maps had 5 X's on them. Now, I don't know if that's average now, and I will say, it's not like we got all captain's chests, but we didn't get 1 castaway, so there's that. So it does look like they've improved that a little bit. I will say they made, I thought this was a joke on Twitter at first, but I guess it's legit. They made a point to say that they were upping sharks and stuff leading into the DLC next week. And if you hop in the water for like a second at this point, if you hop online, literally like 5 or 10 sharks will spawn in your area.
Jesus.
Literally.
No.
It's psychotic at this point.
That's kind of awesome, though, right? Leading into the Hungering Deep kind of makes sense.
It's cool for like the first 2 times you hop in, and then you're like, oh man, this is like go down to a sunken ship, you're
Obnoxious.
swimming back to your boat, you look behind you, and there's like literally 6 sharks swimming at you. You're like, oh, okay, cool.
And what do you have, 5 bullets in all your guns? It's kind of tough.
A little bit, yeah.
Nice. The only thing that was out of the ordinary for me that I played was that Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, I think it is. Maybe. I bought it on my
Okay.
Switch on a whim, just with Infinity War and all this Marvel stuff. I was like, man, I could really go for a Marvel game. And then once you get into it and you're a couple hours in, you're like, yeah, this is still just a Marvel Lego game. So might not have been the best $60 I've ever spent. But
I mean,
it's good for like co-op. Like if
right.
the girlfriend needs something like that we could both play, it works for that. But one thing I'll say about it is that some of those puzzles, I don't understand how small children are supposed to understand them or like get what to do because I can't figure them out. So I'll spend like a half hour just smashing things and making little Lego pieces fall on the floor and just
Why won't you work?
oh,
God
man,
damn it!
it's just harder than some of like just straight up puzzle games. It's so I don't know how they do it. But whatever.
Do you think it's one of those situations where you're looking for like a calculus proof theory versus like they just want you to do 2 + 2 = 4, or like
Exactly.
like overthinking something maybe, or just
I'd like to think that they're just very complex and I'm not an idiot. So I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
So Lego games are the hardest puzzle games ever made.
Confirmed.
Don't pick them up unless you're a genius.
Well, you've got a 5-year-old next to you.
I would have been fine at that point.
Should have bought it last week. Your nephew was there. He could have done it.
Right?
Risky just looks over his nephew. It's like, hey, I know the answer to this, but I just want to see if you can figure it out. So here you go.
I'm testing you, child.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
What are you saying, boy?
Boy, fix it. Boy, complete this puzzle.
Speaking of boy, I did play a little bit more. God of War. I was gonna say Gears of War. That I didn't play.
GOW.
I was supposed to. Yeah, GOW, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Game's still great. Still trucking along.
Nice.
But one thing we all played a whole bunch of, State of Decay 2.
Oh my god.
Chocolate. Initial impressions. How's the game going for you?
Loving it. It doesn't look like they've upped the graphics or the kind of the look of the game. However, the game is brilliant. Co-op, fantastic. It frustrates me that when you go in with a buddy, you can't both use that same base. You know, that it was on his save, so it's his base. And as I'm walking around, I can't see his med center. I can't see his workshop. Drove me up the wall.
That's. I was gonna say the one thing I kept running into was when I would be in other people's like hosted games, I wouldn't be able to see stuff, or I ran into a problem where I didn't have the locker to like put stuff away for my own base.
Multiple, yeah.
But I mean, I guess an easy fix for that is just leave and come back, and then just keep doing that until it's actually there.
Or chuck it in a car.
Yeah.
Or what does that do for you?
So you can put it in the car, in the boot, and then from the boot you can, instead of taking it out of the boot, running all the way to the locker, you can put it straight away in your locker. Does that make sense?
I don't think the friend can do the trunk trick though.
Can they not?
It could have been just glitched for me and I couldn't, but maybe normally you can. But
okay.
Yeah, the host can do the trunk trick, but I don't think the. Like I said, it could have just been glitched too, though. So that's one thing I will say about co-op. I love the co-op, but man, is it being glitched. So
that's what I think. Just that brief little minute we just had about the co-op says a lot about the actual co-op and how glitchy it is at this point. How many weird bugs we've run into.
Yeah, I ran into the driving your car at 3 miles an hour, just nicking the side of. So you know when you start your first base, you've got the. You can drive straight on or do a left, and if you go left, you go near like a fuel where the train is, and there's some fuel there. So it's quite a tight turn. So I managed to turn into a car, nick the front end of my fender, turned my car upside down, totaled it, lost my loot, can't drive straight on now because there's flipping cars everywhere.
Just like real life.
Oh, yeah, it was a proper car crash.
They've done their homework in car physics.
Unreal.
What starting areas did you guys choose? I chose the plateau for my area. Did you guys?
I did I initially did the foothills, and then I actually switched and made a new one to the valley.
Yeah, I think I did the foothill. That was the first choice, wasn't it?
Nice. I wonder how different they actually are. I haven't seen anything besides the plateau, but for you guys that had multiple areas, Doc. What could you tell? Was there a difference? Was it noticeable at all?
So the main thing I did was a lot of the typical, I don't know what you want to call them, just like convenience stores, pharmacies, all that. Most of those are going to be the same, but the bases are what's different. And I went ahead and basically just straight up went to a YouTube video and was like, okay, which place has the coolest bases? And for me, it was definitely the Valley. Because right now I basically have a base that used to be a brewing company.
Awesome.
And I can use the stills that they already had to convert either food into fuel, basically ethanol into whiskey, which you can sell for a lot of points to the vendors and stuff. And then something else I can do with it, and it's already got a steel. It's got a lot of built-in facilities, and it's a really big base. So that, and then I eventually want to go into the baseball field on that map next. That looks really cool for a base. So
have you seen the lockers? Sorry, Risky. There's shipping yard.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That base looks unreal.
think it's like Container Fort.
Yeah.
I think they call it. Yeah. I think that one's on the foothills. Yeah.
Oh, that's my next base.
Yeah. That's the thing about that game. I think that's one of the charming things of that game is, it's so heavily focused on base building. And some of the bases I've seen, like there's a bridge fort, which is cool. There's used to be like a Boy Scout log cabin type fort. And it's just a lot of unique stuff like that. And when you see their takes on the built-in facilities and stuff like that, it's pretty cool.
That's definitely, when you said the baseball field, I went to Fenway Park in Fallout 4. How awesome that hub world base location was. So that could be kind of cool.
It's super neat because you walk in, like the announcer's box is the comm station. Two of the dugouts have been refitted to be watchtowers. It's just super neat how like the stuff you would think of in a place like that and how they retrofit them to like certain built-in facilities. And like the outfield is like you have 3 large plots to put outdoor stuff. It's just really cool how it looks.
All right, so one of the things that kind of worries me about this game is the end game. I'm not positive what I'm really striving towards, but I also think I'm just supposed to be enjoying more of the moment-to-moment stuff, playing with friends, that kind of thing. Kind of Sea of Thieves similarly, with just not knowing what I'm working towards, but seeing the progress go up is always tickles my fancy.
Yeah, it's the best I could tell so far is that the game, has basically a bunch of randomized, procedurally generated quests that'll constantly be popping off your radio. And aside from that, the goal is to basically wipe out all the plague hearts on your map, and then whichever leader you picked, whatever archetype they are, warlord, sheriff, trader, builder, things like that, they will each have their own legacy string of missions. And once you beat the last one of those, you technically beat the game for that community, I guess you could say.
Okay. I see. I guess I didn't know that. I probably haven't played as much as you guys, but I didn't realize that the legacy missions eventually ended. I just figured that was another thing that kept getting generated until the end of time.
It feels like a game that could never finish.
Oh,
like
if
Sea
you
of
want
Thieves.
it to be.
Yeah, you could just go on and on and on.
Because couldn't you potentially just keep taking each survivor and going through their whole legacy thing?
So what I'm doing right now in order to build like a huge self-sustaining base on the baseball field is I am purposely so the cool thing about each archetype of leader unit you get is once they become leader, you get special building abilities and special abilities from them. So like the trader, you get a trading outpost and you can just summon these traders to your base. Like you could be like, hey, I want to summon a weapons trader. He shows up and he's got like an M4 grenade launcher, like all these rare weapons you would never find otherwise probably that you can just get because he comes to your base. And then what I've done is I will get the cool stuff from having that leader. I will then exile them, and then I will just work on promoting a new leader that's a different archetype so I can get all the different unique facilities, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm basically making like a super base eventually.
Doc, you've got far too much time in your hands.
I would say, do you have spreadsheets and Excel sheets?
Now, this is coming from the guy that this State of Decay 1 was my favorite game last gen. So like that probably explains a lot.
So. Yeah, it doesn't seem that far off from the first game from what I remember.
It's not.
I mean, it's definitely a bigger, beefier version. But
I would say there's only a few slight improvements.
Right. So is that how long since the first game? That was close to 4 years, 5 years. Was it that long ago?
I have to look up the exact year it came up. It was an Xbox Live arcade game when it came out. I don't think it ever got a physical release, as far as I know.
So, I know it's a small studio that does this. I think Undead Labs.
Yep.
2005.
Do you think there should have been more? It should have been bigger and better episode 2, second game.
I mean,
do you think you could have expected more, or were you expecting more?
Like, two things about this game. I love and adore this game, even with all its faults, but I'd be lying if I didn't say for that many years past, if they had truly been working on it this long, I was expecting a lot more. I guess the thing I have to keep thinking of is that it is a small studio. You don't have to look back far for reminders like No Man's Sky when you have quote unquote a small studio and the expectations you get and what you actually get, at least out of the gate.
And the problem with both of those is like No Man's Sky had Sony's backing, so you think it's going to be huge and amazing,
right?
And like with State of Decay, they have Microsoft's backing, but like that's not really changing the size of these dev teams at all.
Yeah, I mean, unless they are, like we've heard about how like Playground Games, who does Forza, staffing up for a new RPG. It's one thing if we hear that they're staffing up and clearly hiring a lot more people, but with Undead Labs, they've basically come out and said it's like, I think with the first game they were around 20 people, and now they've up to about like 50 something, which isn't nothing to scoff at, but at the same time, you look at like some of these other studios, like it's just that is so significantly smaller than those,
Like imagine what this game could have been if they had a few hundred people. Like
yeah, exactly.
What would you want from them? What do you think they've missed or lacked?
I mean, just
forget about the bugs.
Oh well, if I'm forgetting about the bugs, that's a big gripe for me. But also, like you said earlier, Chocolate, is like this game doesn't look that much better than. Like the skybox is a little prettier, but as far as just the running around and looking at the people and stuff, I don't think it's a huge leap from the first game graphically.
Yeah, it does feel like a reskin.
Exactly.
It does. I mean, I will say this, like I think this game, if it gets any mainstream popularity, that's great and all. It's one of those that I don't know, I guess I never expected it to, but I guess Game Pass kind of changes that in the sense that everybody can kind of get their hands on with it. But yeah, it's it's one of those things to where I love the gameplay loop in this game. I adore this type of game as far as like the Walking Dead, you have communities, you build up a base kind of thing, but like it's got a lot of issues for sure. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, people out there are like, well, I love Bethesda games. They have their, or like Skyrim, Fallout, they have their bugs, but it's the ambition that kind of keeps you going or like gives it a pass, I guess. And part of me is like, this is a very ambitious game, but at the same time, when you go into your radio, you have a I'm stuck button. It's not the most confidence-inspiring thing. Yeah, but...
Did you get stuck on a rock or part of your locker? Boy, do we have a radio station for you.
I can honestly look past most of the bugs. The thing that infuriates me the most now is guardrails are more dangerous than zombies in this game, in my opinion. If you catch your car on a guardrail, if the wheel barely goes over the lip of it, it is stuck. It is not coming out. It is stuck.
It might catch on fire.
Might catch on fire. Hopefully, you don't have a ton of loot and rucksacks in the back. And I don't know. It's frustrating for sure, but it's an addicting gameplay loop for me though.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, the last question I have, at least personally for you guys about this, would be about the difficulty. Like I said, I haven't played a ton of it, but does the difficulty ramp up at all? Because I have not really been struggling at all, and I know there's no difficulty slider, at least not that I noticed. So does that change ever as you get further and further into the game? Is it getting tougher at all?
Chocolate? I haven't played as much.
Or Doc?
Probably as Doc.
I was going to ask you, Chocolate, how far in hour-wise have you...
I've probably played about 6, maybe 9 hours in total, but 4 hours were with a friend, and then I started my own community.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
So I haven't noticed anything difficult at the moment. The play carts weren't overly easy, but that's probably because I was smashing it with a baseball bat.
For me, it definitely does. The way they ramp up the difficulty isn't so much in the fact that zombies are just all of a sudden like more difficult. The way they ramp it up is that you start seeing more unique zombies. Like you'll start seeing more army ones that have helmets. You'll see more bloaters, freaks, like the big guys. I can't remember what they're called. you'll start to see a whole lot more of those. And then the other thing that subsequently happens is inevitably when you get a bigger base and you get more stuff in it, your noise factor goes up because you have that little danger meter on your base screen, and that's all taking into account noise that various buildings you have make. So the bigger the base you get, inevitably that goes up. And so what I've run into now that's actually a legit issue is that you will have one of your survivors will be like, hey, there's a zombie horde headed our way, get ready. And you'll literally have a timer start on your screen at your base that says zombie wave hitting in 1 minute, 30 seconds or whatever. And literally your base over the walls will come like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it'll be like 20, 30 zombies. But when you concentrate that many, even if you have a high level guy, because of your stamina meter, that can be overwhelming for sure.
Can only swing so many times.
Exactly. Yeah. So unless you have a ton of, like a lot of bag of chips and energy drinks on you for stamina, it's a pain in the butt. I will say they don't make the permadeath of your AI controlled characters bad in this game versus the first. In this game, I feel like they never die randomly. In the first game, they'd go off on a mission and sometimes you'd have to go save them. If you didn't, they'd die, which is kind of frustrating. So you don't have to constantly worry about your buddies dying, but at the same time, those parts are rough. So that's kind of how they up the difficulty. It's not that the zombies just magically get more health or anything. It's just they throw more at you more frequently and more of those special types.
The freaks, are those the fast ones?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I could see if I had even 3, 4, 5 of those things coming at me, that I'd be dead. there's
sure.
only so much running you can do in swinging because of the stamina.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that'll definitely make a difference, I guess. But I'm maybe 4-ish hours, and I've also been split up between other people's bases, my base, and starting over at one point as well.
Oh.
So it's like I haven't got substantially deep into the game yet. So, but I'm definitely enjoying it. It does have a good grindy loop where if you like games where you have to grind stuff out, like this is one of them for sure. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun. And I mean, it's a no-brainer in Game Pass. Even if you want to try it out, $10 for the month, like play State of Decay for a month for $10, well worth that.
And all the other titles in there as well.
Yeah,
if
plus
you don't like it, it's
Sea of Thieves is even there too. Like Game Pass is eventually just gonna be it's just the easiest purchase you'll ever have to make for like people anyone that owns an Xbox. I was gonna say people who are just signing on to the brand, but even if you own one.
I had a friend that said he bought State of Decay. So I mentioned, why didn't you get it on Game Pass? He said, well, no, Game Pass is too much money.
What?
I spent my 50 quid on...
Smart man.
Well, yeah, it was a bizarre conversation. I was like, but it's essentially free and you've got 99 other games plus to play.
You can't fix
his logic.
Chocolate.
Well, yeah, his logic was very, very strange.
Chocolate just looks like the guy and is like, but math.
Yeah, because if you buy it and you'd hate it, you've lost £50.
Also, Microsoft games are never leaving Game Pass, so
yeah,
as long as you own Game Pass, you own it. So.
And funny enough, he bought another game that was in Game Pass as well. So that was probably another 10 quid. I was like, you spent 60 quid, that's 6 months. But never mind, I'll leave it to it.
Oh, man.
Tell me about it.
I don't know. Well, you'll figure it out eventually, maybe.
Any last thoughts on State of Decay 2 before we get moving on?
It's fun.
Yep. Super buggy games, really fun. Got its flaws, but it's fun.
Yeah, I'll still be playing it.
Yeah,
as much as they're annoying.
I agree. I will be playing it for at least a while longer. Until some new stuff comes out. But, all right, next. What's that noise? You guys hear that?
What is it? Hang on.
Warning, incoming missile.
So, part of our competition, for 4 weeks, we are running I don't even have a script for this, so this is completely on the fly. Who deleted the doc? Doc?
Hacked. It got hacked.
Yeah. God damn it. So, over 4 weeks, we're giving you a phrase. Last episode, I gave you the word "oh." this week's phrase or word is shit.
You said it better this
All
time,
right.
at least.
Yeah.
Shit.
So the whole thing is oh shit. You'll have 2 more episodes for the other 2 words. Then you'll need to email us at brain fart of the email address.
cagpodcast@gmail.com.
There we go. That was risk.
cagpodcast@gmail.com.
I thought you were doing another O drop.
No, that was literally. I went to scroll down and was like, oh, we haven't got it.
Oh.
So once you've got the full phrase, email us, and then what we'll do, one of us will jump on Instagram and we will show all the names of who's written in, and then we'll just pick one at random, and then possibly upload that to Twitter as well, and then we'll announce it on our 5th podcast. Are we going to tell them what the game is, or are we going to leave that as a surprise?
I don't know.
Stay
Okay.
tuned.
So moving on.
All right, let's get out of here. Next up, let's do some news.
All right. So kind of sticking with the theme of pre-E3, not a lot of crazy stuff dropping as far as news goes. We're going to take more of a deep dive this week into Battlefield 5 because DICE had their, or I guess EA had their big reveal event. I don't know if did any of you guys actually catch that when it came on?
Yeah, I watched through the whole thing. It was a couple days after it had aired, though, but I still made a point to watch it. I didn't realize that Trevor Noah was hosting the whole thing. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't either till I kind of tuned in. I was like, oh, hey, that's a guy from the Daily Show.
Yep.
I just picked up a very snippet over YouTube. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was playing State of Decay 2.
Nothing wrong with that.
Fair. So we'll kind of go through some bullet points here just to get our general reactions. There's a lot of stuff about this game that they really are changing, I guess you could say, from the mainline Battlefield formula, and it only makes sense with Call of Duty announcing their Black Ops 4 previous week that we kind of compare and contrast at least a little bit, because these two games obviously are competing with each other as far as first-person shooters, military shooters go. So first bit of news, or I guess first bit of information they wanted to get across, which was great, is no season pass, no premium Battlefield anymore. Everybody gets all the DLC maps free moving forward.
Great. I think everyone should be doing this, and I think that's what we're going to see here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is the final nail in the coffin for season pass and multiplayer games.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Chocolate, I think you pretty much nailed it when you said I think this is the last big game to ditch it.
Yeah, I mean, last week it all depended on whether Call of Duty and Battlefield were going to drop it, and they've stepped up and followed suit, so it's good for us.
Do you think it's something Battlefield had planned, or do you think that was let's see quick what Call of Duty's doing, and then we either have a season pass lined up or we have the other option?
I didn't even think of it that way, actually.
I suppose if
maybe
you're
good.
a business, you've got to have 2 options, haven't you, surely?
A plan A and a plan B.
But yeah,
let me phrase the question to you guys this way. If we didn't live in a post-Battlefront 2 world and a post-Call of Duty no season pass world, do you think they would still have it?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I probably would say they would.
Yeah, I agree. I think they would too.
It's tough when you botch something like Star Wars and you screw it up so bad, and then your biggest competitor also drops the season pass. It's tough to go back to, hey, we do have a season's pass. Give us another $60 for all these maps and things. Like, you sound like an idiot at that point.
Yeah,
but have you seen on the store, they've still got over here, Battlefield, the premium one was always about £80, and they've still got that version for Battlefield 5 on the Microsoft Store.
Well, the difference is we'll get into this later, because I guess you could say they're taking the way they're making money. They've said on this game is that it's all cosmetics based. So that if you look at that premium version, if you go into the details, they basically give you a lot more like cosmetic stuff out of the gate, I guess. Totally unnecessary stuff, but it looks like that's the gist of it, is you just get a ton of cosmetic stuff extra.
Okay, well that's good, at least. That it's not the same old thing. So you must get some type of a bonus when you're buying it like that, though. Like, you get these 10 crates or whatever, plus 3 extra free. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just buy them in-game after the game's out? So there must be something. Or extra skins, maybe.
I'm actually going to pull it up here, and in a second we'll kind of revisit that. I want to read exactly what it actually...
I don't think you get any crates. I think it was just literally a few skins.
And you could just buy them a la carte?
But,
see, I don't know, because like Titanfall 2 had the strategy of basically it had microtransactions, but in my opinion the best way possible, to where you could look at any skin, any Titan, anything you want, and buy it individually, and you knew what you were getting. Like, there was no blind box equivalent, in it.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a great model. Like buying those, I think they were
totally
Prime
agree.
Titans. Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Like,
it's you're giving your money and you know what you're getting, basically.
Did you either of you watch Jack Frags do the breakdown video of the trailer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So some of the cosmetics that he stopped and showed are actually kind of cool. From what
totally
I've seen.
agree.
I love the way he broke down that trailer almost frame by frame.
When it comes to Battlefield, that guy, there is no parallel. He is the aficionado for Battlefield, I guess you could say.
I stumbled across him on YouTube and I was like, oh wow.
Didn't he also do?
I like his videos too. I like his talk over stuff.
Didn't he do
He's
Call of
pretty
Duty
good.
stuff for a while, or does he do that also, or is he mainly Battlefield?
I've only ever watched him with Battlefield.
Okay,
but
He has got some Call of Duty, and his about page on YouTube does say all first-person shooters.
all right.
So I think he
that
goes
makes
through
sense.
them all.
okay, so I've got pulled up what you get with the I guess it's the deluxe edition. I guess they're saying.
Give
Or
me all your money
Enlister.
edition.
So it looks like bullet point wise, you get. So I don't know how this works with EA Access, because EA Access gives you what, 10 hours, 5 days
10
early
hours
to play.
Yeah, something.
Didn't they
like that.
say this one was only 3? No, is that FIFA? They
I don't
change.
know.
They chop and change. You either get 10 hours,
Well-
10 days early, or you get sometimes 3 days early.
Well, if
10-hour
you notice
access.
the difference has been basically the ones that are Sony backed, they end up changing that how early, how many hours you get.
Okay.
Like Battlefront was the same way. It looks like bullet points are, so you get early access to the game. I'm not sure, it doesn't go into detail, so I'm not sure how that works with EA Access already. 5 sets of paratrooper outfits. Apparently you can customize everything from weapon skins, camo patterns, headgear, face paint, torso clothing, shorts, pants. It even says boots. Dang, they're not kidding when they said they're going all out with customization in this one.
Torso clothing. I like that.
Yeah, is that just saying like shirt or jacket?
That's weird. It's weird. It's a weird phrase.
Yeah,
Well, that's because you can play as a female now, can't you?
Yeah. Real quick on this, guys, because they were getting a lot of blowback on this on the internet after the video I saw. I'll kind of give you my opinion after the fact. But what do you guys think about 2 things? One, it being super historically accurate, aside from the fact that women absolutely fought in World War II, especially the Eastern Front, especially. The Russian army did not give a who you were. They just wanted you to fight for them.
Can you hold this gun? Go.
Yeah, exactly. Or can you hold the ammo behind a guy with a gun? Go. So, people saying that are just flat out wrong. But what do you think about, say, you have a female in a Screaming Eagles airborne division, paratrooper in Normandy, and what do you also think about all the face paint and the prosthetic arms, things like that?
Go chocolate.
It's different, isn't it? I was going to say there's 2 ways of looking at it. We're trying to be more inclusive of everybody playing games, depending on your.
I guess the big blowback that the bullet point you can kind of go off of they had online was like, this isn't historically accurate. There wasn't, because the initial cover photo has a female on the cover, and they're like, well, that's BS. Women weren't on D-Day on the beaches of Normandy, blah blah blah. and a lot of people were, I guess, taking the route of historical accuracy, and then that kind of bled into like a guy wearing like skull face paint and like stuff like that. So I guess that was their big issue. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think the big question is the campaign stuff historically accurate?
See, now that's the thing. Here's where I agree, Risky. That is. Yes, the stories are historically accurate as far as they are telling us the campaign story.
It's fine then, because if it's just multiplayer stuff, like for the skins and the weapons and having females in it, if that's all the multiplayer, then that's fine. This was the same thing where they didn't want to add different skins into the Star Wars universe for Battlefront 2 because it was going to like mess with the canon. But it's like once you're in the multiplayer, you're fighting with characters from different eras anyways, so like it's already all broken. So as long as it's the PvP, the multiplayer arena, I think it's fine. Do whatever you want. Do the face paint, put women in there, prosthetic arms, all this whatever. But if the campaign is accurate, then I don't really see what you have to complain about there. I mean, people are always going to complain, right? No matter what. And it's if you include women and it makes it historically inaccurate, or if you don't include them, you're still going to piss off two sets of people. So like you can't win nowadays when creating anything. So it's whatever.
Is it because though they've gone for that historical, it's accurate historically, or do you think, I mean, for me, I'm not bothered. Give me a real story about the war, give me a fake story about the war. I don't give two hoots as long as it's fun, it's good, it's immersive. You could put a 4-year-old child playing holding the gun, I don't care.
Uh-oh.
As long as it's good.
I might draw a line there. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
My thing, I think you both nailed it. Real concise about this is, one, as long as you have a campaign and stuff like that, they're even going to have a campaign co-op mode that's separate from the War Stories campaign, so they're going all out with that stuff. But like, as long as you have that, that's going to tell the historical story, which even then it's going to be an inspired by true events story. It's not like, they're going by found footage or something like that, but like it's one of those things that they come out and said, hey, online is a sandbox. First and foremost, we want it to be fun above all else, including historical accuracy, and I agree with that. It's like Risky said, you have your campaign for your World War II whatever story you want to tell, and then you have online because it's Battlefield Online. It's a sandbox where a lot of stuff blows up and it's crazy. So yeah, I couldn't care less who you're playing as, what you can do with character customization. I think more of the customization stuff is only better. I think that only makes it more unique and fun to play.
Makes them a ton of money as well.
Yeah. Well, and Battlefield even released a tweet about some guy went off on Twitter like, this isn't historically accurate, and previous Battlefield games were, and they're like online, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. And they posted a picture of Battlefield 1, and it was 3 guys in flamethrower suits on Battlefield 1 had all stood on, or were standing on top of a horse firing flamethrowers in opposite directions. And it's like, yeah, clearly, we nailed the historical accuracy of the previous one, so you're right.
Right, that's the thing. You can make it, I don't know.
You could, yeah, it's a sandbox. It's just an online sandbox where you can do whatever and blow shit up. I mean, who cares?
So do those same people get pissed when Germans win all these battles in multiplayer? Like, are you getting angry about that as well? Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where you have to study. You have to go on an online forum and look really hard to figure out what people are mad about, why they're mad about it, and who's mad about what. It's almost like homework now to figure out.
What I hope is that they troll all these people that are angry about it not being accurate, and they do the campaign like Inglourious Basterds style, and you end up killing Hitler in the end of this game.
Totally.
It would break the internet.
Because my thing is, like, don't get me wrong, I listen to like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History podcast, and I love the series he did on the Eastern Front, and like that stuff is fascinating to me. But at the same time, we've ran World War II campaigns into the ground at this point into the video game genre. So
I can only storm the beaches of Normandy so many more times before I'm going to lose my shit.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like whatever. I feel like that was obviously there's a overreaction to something, but just want to wrap up real quick. There was a couple things I missed on this deluxe edition. You also get like special assignments. Doesn't really go into detail what that is, but I believe that's like, hey, do this stuff, you get more XP.
Those
blah,
are
blah,
like
blah.
bounties, kind of, maybe something like that.
Exactly. I think so. 20 weekly items with airlift. It says you will receive vital supplies of 20 weekly airlifts, each containing one customization item. So apparently that's just like a weekly, like, loot box you get. Maybe
That sounds like what they do with FIFA. You get like each week you get a free pack to open. So it could be once a week you get a free loot box to random generated. You get whatever comes out.
Makes sense. It's just like Ubisoft games. We're all reaching a singularity. Like every Ubisoft game, there's a tower to climb. There's it's just we're reaching a singularity with EA games now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Moving on, they're gonna launch the game with France, Africa, Rotterdam, and North Africa. Wait, does that say Africa and North Africa? What the f***? Okay.
In case you didn't think you were.
Yeah, I
going
edited
for the
this.
northern part.
I clearly went through and edited this before. So needless to say, France, Rotterdam, and North Africa. That'll be. It says the starting locations, so clearly they're going to add more later. But
And you can probably safely assume those will be locations in your campaign, as well as your multiplayer maps.
I would assume so.
Sounds diverse.
I mean, it's one of those things to where I'm not clairvoyant, but I would be willing to bet eventually we're going to get an Eastern Front, a Western Front, a Pacific Theater. We're probably going to, I assume if this is going to be a 2-year cycle, which most Battlefield games are, I'd say we're going to hit all the big story, or I say story beats, the big locations of World War II.
And it'll all be free.
Yep.
No more bringing your friend on your season pass so you can't level up. How annoying was that?
Oh, what was that called? Premium Friends, Premium Buddies?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
Yeah.
Where you
Premium,
don't
come
gain
over and
any
play.
XP.
Oh, it was ridiculous. When I first did it with a buddy, I was like, oh, you're not getting XP.
Are you having fun
This was a
still?
good idea.
Yeah. Are you having fun? Would you like to play a different map?
Oh, what's that? Is that a link on the page to Premium where you can buy it yourself?
Yeah.
Well, that's convenient.
And will Retro pay? And will Retro give you all the XP that we didn't give you if you just buy Premium?
Here is the carrot.
Never really thought about how gross it was until you say it all out loud. Like, as far as man, they were really to the point with that. Moving on, they've got a co-op mode called Combined Arms, along with the single-player war stories. And I'm killing myself now because apparently this info dump I got did not have it in it. I forgot what it's called, but they do have this overarching online campaign, and it's got a specific name, but it sounded really cool in the terms of, like, there's going to be a big meta online campaign to where, like, say, like, they might pop up a window and say the next 2 weeks is, like, 1943 Eastern Front, and this week is the Battle of Kursk, and it's all tanks, nothing else.
It wasn't War Stories, was it? Or
I could probably find it real quick. I honestly can't remember the name of it.
That's definitely familiar, though.
Yeah.
How it's kind of going to run like seasons.
Exactly, yes. That's the best way to think of it, like seasons, yeah. So basically it's going to give a themed, like, I don't know the best example to do, like Sea of Thieves is doing, where they drop a DLC and the following month has, like, or the next 2 months has 8 weekly events that are all themed around that. It's going to be like that, to where, like, let's say this month is Eastern Front, and this week is the Battle of Kursk or something. Next week is the Battle of Stalingrad. Next week is the Battle of, whatever. And, like, it's all themed around that specific time period and stuff. So, they didn't give a lot of details about it, but it sounded like it could be really cool. What do you guys think about that as far as, like, having, like, a meta gameplay around, like, months and weekly events and stuff like that?
It's going to bring a whole new, different edge to Battlefield, isn't it? I think something we're not used to seeing. So I'm quite excited. Be interesting to see what type of loot you could get from it as well.
Yeah.
If you get something...
Yeah.
Like a community play, 10,000 kills on whichever side you're on. Will you unlock this certain...
You'd assume so, right? That usually goes hand in hand with, like, the season model.
You would hope, yeah.
They definitely acted like there was going to be, like, weekly and season incentives, cosmetic items unique to that playtime. Yep, absolutely. They even said that much.
I wonder.
Yep, so you guys nailed it.
I wonder what their total number of cosmetic things actually comes out to.
Funny enough, I was just thinking, everything sounds it's cosmetic. How much is it going to be? Because you've got your head. Okay, they're going to put face paint on there. Your torso, your prosthetic arms, legs. All of a sudden, this kind of... You can change your gun, can't you?
Oh, not only that, you can change your gun in 7 to 8 different areas.
Woo! You can make your clip
This game is
different from your muzzle.
This game is going to
crazy.
be a lot of options, cosmetic options. Also, tattoos. You could actually apparently get tattoos as well. I'm reading now as well.
Can I get a tattoo on my prosthetic arm?
Oh, do you know, that would be amazing.
Well, that's the deal breaker for me. So we'll see.
Better have it.
As soon as I hop into the game, I just go in, customize. Nope, not having it. Refund. I'm out. Bullshit. Ruin my immersion.
But this is
God, could you imagine?
this is another thing, kind of like Sea of Thieves, which is weird, where you're basing your progress around cosmetic stuff, and then it's a first-person game, so you're rarely seeing yourself. I always find that kind of funny.
Yeah, is that...
I agree. I guess the gun is a little different in that customization. I guess at least you'll be able to see that. But yeah, your person, yeah, I agree. It's not like you're ever going to see it unless you die. But
So you're going to make a character to try and put off your opposition, essentially.
Right?
maybe that Battlefield they did. Dice made the comment of like, we don't care if you're on a snow map and your guy's in short and a t-shirt. We don't care. Do what you want. And I'm like, that actually does seem kind of funny, but.
That's because I guess a lot of what you're shooting for, and I mean, Call of Duty has been like this recently as well, is like at the end of the game when they put the 5 soldiers up and they're like, these are the 5 MVPs, and like that's where
right.
people are seeing you, but that's not really a Battlefield thing at all. You usually just get a scoreboard, right?
No, you get the squads now, don't you? So they...
Yeah, they've changed. Now that you mentioned that, they've changed that to where whatever squad wins, you see them at
Do
the
you
end.
see the actual squad? I haven't played
Well, yeah,
Battlefield.
the highest scoring squad gets put
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
Okay, so there you
So-
go. There's a good area to
show off.
view your cosmetic stuff, yeah, or for other people to see it. I wonder if they'll have gestures and emotes, that kind of thing.
Oh, God. You're looking at then the millions
bet they do.
of customizable options, aren't you?
They did say that, and I think this is a big point to make, that all gameplay relevant mechanics, guns, anything like that, can only be acquired by playing the game. Period.
Good. It's the way to do it.
Now, with that said, something they've always offered in the past are shortcut bundles on Battlefield games. I wonder if
Yeah.
that'll still be in
Like
there.
XP
but-
boosters, that kind of thing.
Well, they even had stuff to like, you have like assault, different classes, like on Battlefield 1 and even the previous Battlefield 4. I don't know if Hardline did, but they had it to where you could be like assault shortcut kit, and you would just get every gun in the assault class unlocked.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll be there. This sounds like it won't, but, I don't know. But I think that's a good point to make, is that, there'll be loot boxes, but reading this, for what it's worth, it looks like it absolutely 100% will be cosmetic only, so...
And one of the big things is, as well, your classes are slightly... Locked isn't the word. So if you're a medic, you were the only person that was able to revive your teammates, but now that's changed. Anyone can revive anyone.
It's definitely
So
more
that's
open to build a character out the way you want, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah,
Because there's things that I
It's-
always loved about the medic class, and then things that I loved about, like a sniper class or something like that. Being able to maybe piece those together, kind of. If you're able to do it like that, besides just the healing, if there's other things you can take from other classes, that would be kind of cool.
Well, see, that's the cool thing too, because they're all that stuff you just said to like the nth degree. They're taking it because you have basically, which a lot of this almost sounded like RPG-esque, but in a cool way. They said like you start the game, you'll have a platoon, and you'll basically have a group of say like 10 or 15 soldiers, and basically then you can customize each of them any way you want, and that'll kind of be your roster of characters you pick. So instead of going into a game now like on Battlefield 1, you're like, I'm assault, and you can even preset like 3 or 4 assault classes and name them whatever you want, but it's like I'm assault and I've got this guy with this gun. Now it's going to be like I want 101st Screaming Eagles guy because he's a paratrooper with this gun with this skill set, and you're pulling him from your platoon, and it sounds much more less of thinking like 4 classes and more thinking of a guy with this predetermined set of skills that you're using, which sounded pretty cool.
And you can do that with vehicles as well, can't you? Stick them in your platoon.
Exactly. It sounded like you have like a company of like vehicles, characters, things like that. And like I said, almost RPG-esque in a cool way. But that sounded really neat in a different take on what they've always done before, where it's just you pop in a game, you pick assault, you go, you know.
And the best thing about all this like added stuff is it's all like the cherry on top of a Battlefield game, which like they're always incredible. So it's like not only are you going to get incredible Battlefield gameplay like always, you're getting all of these extra systems and cosmetics and just so it's like a substantial amount more than normal.
100%.
That all has me super hyped for this game.
See, to me, this is how you do. I know Battlefield is bigger than State of Decay 2, but this is how you do your next iteration of your game.
All right, yeah.
You bring in this much more. All right, studio sizes and everything else, fine.
Yeah,
it's a different beast altogether, but I agree. This is what you expect from a proper sequel, for sure. Another thing I want to touch on here that you guys kind of mentioned, like how they're not delineating classes so clearly anymore. For instance, if you're in a squad, you can technically revive anybody in your squad, even if you're not a medic. Medics do it faster. Now, where this gets really cool, and what maybe the coolest part of this whole conference, and I don't know how many people even caught the part where they talked about it, was, so ragdoll physics are server-side now. What does that mean? Well, that means that everybody sees the same thing when it comes to a dead body and ragdolls and people on the ground. The reason that's cool is, say like Chocolate, you're on a corner, you go down and I'm behind cover. I could grab your arm, pull you behind cover, and then revive you.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Which seems super, and that almost makes the game eerily realistic in a kind of eerie way. We're getting to that point where it's just like we are really replicating a Battlefield at some point. But I thought that was really neat.
Did you catch the part on the trailer where, as the soldier runs up the stairs, there was a guy sitting on the corner sticking his hand out like, help me, help me?
Yep.
And they were saying that's actually going to be in the game. So you're going to see, if a man's down, he'll be sticking his arm out, or her, whoever, sticking an arm out and screaming for help. This is going to be unbelievable.
Something I want to add to that too, and I'm kind of glad they took this out, because I had eerie flashbacks at that point in Saving Private Ryan when the Germans are overrunning the one side of the river, and you have soldiers surrendering, and they just line them up and execute them right then and there as they run on. Like, they don't allow you to execute enemy soldiers on the ground pleading to be revived, and I was like, that's probably a good move, actually, because
right?
This game is getting way too real. It's like we're really going for it, and like it's funny because the Dice guy on the stream was like, yeah, that's a war crime, you can't do that in the game, we drew the line there.
Smart, good work, Dice.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get it that you're killing people, but at the same time, that's taking it a step further at that point.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I do think it's funny how they had to kind of literally just say that in the stream. It's just like, by the way. Okay, so moving on. There's emplacements now, and emplacements in the sense that you can be on the battlefield, say say you capture C, and it's just a tank plowed through a building, and the building's gone, and it's just a flag, and it's point C. You could have anybody come up, start packing on sandbags, start building defilés, like pushing a tree over for like added cover, or just like knocking tree branches in front of cover, things like that. And it's all kind of organic in the sense. And then if you're like a what am I trying to say? What's the building guy in Battlefield called? Engineer. You can actually build a machine gun nest, and so it seemed like it was really freeform in the sense that like you could kind of build up these defenses almost anywhere on a map you wanted to.
I'm just curious as to how often that will get used. Because my first thing in a Battlefield game generally isn't going to be, hold on, let me stop and build up a sandbag wall, or let me fortify this building. It's usually, all right, get out of this building, move over to the next building, or just get a flank around, go somewhere else. So
what game mode are you playing though? You see, so
I
if
think
you're
that
doing the
depends, too.
capturing,
Yeah.
the
if you're playing like Rush or something where you need
rush,
to,
capturing the points, and you want to defend
that's
C,
I-
B, whatever.
right. I play a lot of just Conquest. So in Conquest, I guess it kind of seems weird because like I'll just move to a different flag if you're gonna overwhelm us. Like if we don't win the gunfight, we move to a different flag.
Or what was the new mode they had where you had to win point 1, 2, 3.
Well, they have like Rush, and then they also have Front Lines, which is
Front
kind of
Lines,
a
that's
different
the one.
take on Rush.
Yeah, so that would be potentially another one where you
So
would
that's-
build
yeah,
your sand
okay.
as a defender. You're building your sandbags or whatever.
That makes
But
sense.
you can also move equipment as well, can't you?
Yeah,
So gun
that's-
turrets.
You can like tow
and-
it right behind vehicles.
Yes, that sounded really cool. Yeah, totally.
And I think you can
Yeah, so
use them as they're being towed as well. If I read that right.
You also
So-
that yeah. It's almost like the purest Battlefield moment you could have is having a Tiger tank towing an anti-aircraft battery and somebody on that just shooting up
right.
a hillside.
Only
you
in
know?
Battlefield.
Yeah, what more Battlefield can? And then having a plane crash into that, and then something else crazy happen. It's like that's Battlefield when I think of it. So
I wonder how you would get to it. Could you just press A and jump on each seat and then manage to make it outside, or do you have to actually get out the tank, walk over to it, and then ride it?
have the PUBG moment of like you're in the driver's seat, you pop in the passenger seat, pull out a gun, like
Yeah.
you're just going seat to seat.
God.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. To Risky's point though, and this, I'm wondering how people are going to receive this because this gets into our next points here. How this is going to be a very different. I don't know how else to say it. It's going to have a very different feel to this Battlefield game because they're making it much more. I guess the best way to say it is they're making it much more tactical. So like they're introducing what's called an attrition system. So Call of Duty, and even Call of Duty is doing this now with their health system. But Battlefield now, in Battlefield 1, previous Battlefields, you would get hurt, you would duck and cover, and even if you didn't have a medic, your health would eventually regen, even without a medic. A medic would do it quicker, but you would eventually get back up to 100 on your health. So now your health bar is going to be essentially 5 blocks or 4 blocks, and once your health goes below one of those blocks, it'll only ever regen up to where that quarter of health ends. So the reason why that's significant is also because they're giving you less ammunition when you spawn in. So you're going to have enough ammunition to have, like, say, 1 or 2 firefights, and then not enough to really have much more. The reason I'm saying all this is because they're wanting you to basically stick with your squad more now. They're not forcing you, but they're encouraging you to stick around your squad.
Yeah, you say not forcing.
It's gonna. I will say everything they've said. It is gonna be a different feel for sure when we hop on this game. It is gonna, it's gonna be one of those things where we run out in a direction, get in a firefight, and we're like, oh damn, I only had 3 clips. I'm dry now. It's like I need. Where's my support guy? I need some ammo. Like
This is definitely going to take a month or two to get used to the way the co-op, the multiplayer, sticking with your team works.
Well, that goes back to Risky's point about like, well, what's my incentive to capture a point, hold a point? And I think I don't know if it's an incentive, but I think their thinking is that if you're sticking with your squad, you might be more likely to say Bravo squad holds C, Alpha goes and tries to hold B. More of that scenario to where you're having to stick with your guys, or at the very least move in concert with your guys. But who knows how this is going to play out when the game launches, but with the less ammo, attrition system, all that stuff, they're definitely incentivizing you to stick with your squad for sure. I mean, what do you both think about that whole concept of like versus the old way to play Battlefield?
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I do. Sorry, Risky, go on.
You were talking, so you can continue to talk. My bad.
Well, why, thank you, sir. I do find when I play Battlefield, normally when I stick with my squad, or we've got a strong squad all on comms, you normally crucify the other team. So they are helping you in a sense, to say stick with your squad. This is
Mhm.
this is the way you should be playing it, and you'll play better or you'll do better.
So
So
do you think if when you have the support person who generally can supply extra ammo, does that guy now have a limited supply of ammo that he can dole out to the squad then, or is he still the? I don't know. It just because eventually couldn't if you're playing well enough, couldn't you run out of ammo then, or no?
I didn't even think about it that way. That's a good question.
Because I know they said that you can get it from like supply caches. You can get small amounts of ammo off of people that you kill, and then you'll have your supply guy on your team. But how limited is his supply? Or it's like once your supply guy goes down, he gets killed. That's when you start worrying about it. But then it's like he's just gonna spawn back on you, and then you have your ammo again. I don't know.
I don't think they've mentioned it, so we're either assuming that mechanic is still in this battlefield, or they have told us and we're not actually seeing it in big lights where, as you've just said, Risky, shit, we need to make sure we keep our
Yeah, so I mean that's just the thing, like
conservative.
much less ammo on spawn, sure. But then like if you have the support dude, shouldn't you not really be that low on ammo then?
Yeah,
Or
you could
unless
just
the
throw
supply guy just doesn't
Right.
function the same anymore. So I guess we'll see once we start seeing actual multiplayer matches, probably around E3.
Well,
Yeah.
it's now that you mention it, like I don't know if we're kind of connecting the dots here, but they make a point here to say that capture points will have supply caches at them, and they're making a big point to say supply caches will be scattered to different points of the map. That almost makes me think the support guy doesn't have an unlimited supply of ammo, because why else would you have
Right.
those unless you were just planning on having a squad without a supply
Yep,
guy?
I think that makes sense.
But then your medic is your medic, and he'll be fine to always sort your health out. Why would you then stunt your supply guy?
Because he's still going to bring something to the table, whether it's 6 extra clips or something maybe. Like even if it's a limited supply, the extra ammunition that he can still bring is still going to be useful. And if you're not sitting on a point, like if you're assaulting a point, you're not going to have like that cache of ammo that you're sitting on. So I think he could still be useful, but maybe just not in an unlimited way like he's always been.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good point to like, it's all relative. Like if you start out with 3 clips as a normal anything but support, and support starts without, or starts with the same amount of clips, but with 8 ammo packs, which isn't unlimited, but it's more than everybody else has.
So that's what I wonder now, if it'll be like your grenade counter, where it'll be like he'll have the ammo pack and then it'll say like 6 above it, so he knows that he has like, I've only got 3 more clips to dole out. So just
seems likely.
Feels more realistic, which seems like what they're going for. So
yeah, and I mean, I guess that goes back to the point where the whole crux of like what is the emphasis for me to take C and hold C, or take a point and hold
that
a point?
ammo
Is that
cache.
maybe actually, now that you mention it, maybe, which I don't know how to feel about that, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm sure they play tested this in the dirt, so I mean, I assume they know what they're doing, but that'll be different for sure.
As long as it works day one, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of wrap up a few more points here. We've talked about the majority of the big stuff. Is they're also introducing squad call-ins, where the squad leader will be able to have special radio call-ins. They talked about V1, V2 rockets that showed up in the trailer. Also, explosions are doing a lot with the physics in this game, to where you shoot in a building, it explodes outwards, or explosion happens beside a building, it explodes inwards, and that affects also your character. You can get like knocked over, blown back, things like that. Sounds more realistic, sounds good. Let's see. Were either of you guys a fan of elite classes or behemoths?
No, not really.
No, not overly.
Well, you're in luck,
They're
because they're gone.
good.
Should we do the Call of Duty conference moment? And are we having behemoths? No! That was so weird.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like, aren't you the guys that introduced the wall running? You're kind of shitting on your own parade, aren't you?
And then let's quickly show this repeller. Boots on the ground. No, those boots are not on the ground.
Those boots were temporarily off the ground for at least 5 seconds. Okay, let's see. They go on to talk about how it's technically the same 4 classes are returning, but we've already talked about how they're blowing them out with the different subsets and all that kind of stuff. They didn't really go into detail about that,
which is good. I think you still need your 4 general categories, but then, like we said before, being able to alterate them however you want is a step in the right direction. More customization, the better.
Will you be picking this up, Risky?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's no games I don't pick up at this point for some reason, so you can usually count me in for day one for any of the big games.
See, now listening to the conference and obviously the news that we've just put out, I might drop and not get Call of Duty now. Because I feel this is going to be...
That's just me.
If I had to... Yeah, I'm kind of more like Risky, unfortunately. I guess fortunately for my Game Pass buddy, but I kind of just, usually get all the big stuff when they release. I will say, Chocolate, if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick Battlefield. I'm not, crapping on Call of Duty, but and I'm super interested to see how that Battle Royale pans out, but it looks a lot more Call of Duty. I don't know what else to say other than it looks like Call of Duty. This seems like you were saying before, it seems like a real full-fleshed out sequel. And
did they mention that Battle Royale was coming into Battlefield?
They didn't say anything about it here, but I thought that was definitely rumored, or that DICE was testing it out, so maybe down the road, but I don't think you'll see it at launch unless that's a big E3 thing,
reveal.
Now we're going to play a Battle Royale round for you guys, whatever.
As Snoop Dogg walks out.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Then I would be in.
For sure. You don't turn down Battle Royale and Snoop Dogg. Day one.
I know we've said this before, but it does seem like the easiest point A to point B for Battlefield to do Battle Royale, but it seems like they're being the most hesitant of the core first-person shooters about it.
Which I don't understand why anyone, if you are capable of doing it at this point, I don't know why you wouldn't, just because it's such a hot game mode.
But do you think it would suit this style? Because Battlefield has always been a half step slower than COD.
Yeah, but
COD is quick, sharp.
That's perfect for Battle Royale, though, is it not? Think about how slow PUBG games are. I think Battlefield is probably a better fit than Call of Duty.
Yeah, you could argue Battlefield is not as fast-paced, but not near as fast-paced as Call of Duty. And also, Battlefield has more emphasis on ranged combat. Like, Call of Duty definitely doesn't. I mean, they've got sniper rifles in Call of Duty.
But they're all used for quick scoping, and that's it.
Yes.
And how on earth do they do that?
I've never been able to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. 15 years younger and a lot of Adderall, I guess. I don't know. See, that's what I'm still, to go back to last week, I'm still super interested to see what Call of Duty Battle Royale looks like, because it's such a, when you think of Call of Duty, it's such a enclosed, small, tight map type gameplay. What does that look like spanned out over, presumably a much, much larger map?
Yeah, so both of these games coming out have things that I'm super interested to see how they play. Check out these new game modes. Like, there's so much that's being, maybe Call of Duty not so much because they're dropping their campaign, so if anything they're kind of losing some.
Forgot about that.
But I don't know, I'm pumped for both, so I'll definitely be getting both.
Yeah, I still play Call of Duty World War II Team Deathmatch. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's the same old Call of Duty, but I still have fun with it.
But that quick, twitchy shooter, it's tough to find anything better than Call of Duty if you're looking for fast-paced games.
Fortnite?
I mean, it's
still slow.
Something to be said about being third person too. I mean, it's not 1-to-1 per se, but
yeah, if I'm looking for a specific game, it's got to be one or the other there. I feel like those two don't overlap each other a ton, besides you're shooting at people.
I used to love the map on was it Modern Warfare with all their shipping containers?
Yep.
You could just throw a grenade here and there,
Lob
you'd get
it
a
up in the
kill.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's throw that over there, and I'll go the other way. Oh, shotgun to the face.
There's a map on World War II which is basically a revision of that. I mean, it's not 1-to-1, but it's that same idea, long ways on a boat, basically. But it's yeah, I don't know. By the way, this comes out I think
October, right?
Actually after. Yeah, I think it's actually after Call of Duty this year.
They both moved into October though.
10/16.
It's funny.
Yeah. So, and I think, what did we say Call of Duty was?
Why does the 29th of October jump up at me?
My brother's birthday.
Yeah, that's it.
Thought so.
Oh, wow. Nailed it. October 12th is Call of Duty, and the 16th is Battlefield. Holy crap.
Wow.
Oh, it's gonna be a lot of first-person shooting.
Man. You think that matters at all as far as sales go?
I think it's two different
Well, it's
audiences
either-
for the most part.
Well, it's either that or go up against Red Dead, so...
So come out in March. We've talked about this.
There's got to be some pun there for Red Dead and Dead on Arrival or something. I don't know.
It would be funny if they were the only game that launched for those 2 weeks. Everyone cleared out and was like, nope, we're not even going to
I
try.
mean, if you're smart, you won't be anywhere near the middle of October.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah, yikes.
I feel we had this last time, though. I'm sure a year or two ago it was the same. There was one game
just
coming
November.
Well, also remember when they stuck Titanfall 2 in between Battlefield 1
Which
and
was real stupid on EA's
Call of Duty?
part.
Yes.
Putting out two giant first-person shooters a week apart from each other. Like, granted, they should be different audiences. Space jumping, first-person shooter, realistic, old-timey warfare. Like, two different games, but I feel like Titanfall 2 probably would have done a lot better if it didn't come out right next to Battlefield. Kind of silly.
Yeah.
Since EA owns them both.
Well, you know, the conspiracy theory is that EA didn't own Respawn at the time, but the conspiracy theory is that they put them there to purposely semi-tank so their value would decrease so they could buy them.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. I hate it.
Unfortunately, kind of does, doesn't
Wow.
it?
Huh.
Oh.
Interesting.
Your stock has gone down. Wow.
Don't know how that
Come
I
happened.
guess
here.
now's the time to jump in.
Come join the family.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because I don't know if you guys remember at the time, like Respawn devs were verbally unhappy on Twitter about the whole release window, and because basically you would see fans be like, "Why are you guys releasing this now? Seems kind of dumb." And they're like, "Yeah, we agree."
We know this is
It's
dumb.
like, oh, okay,
Our hands
Well.
are tied.
yeah, interesting. But I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's I feel like we say this every year, but it's gonna be a lot of freaking games coming out this fall.
It's only going to get worse and worse every year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Best send my wife out to work some more. Right.
Somebody
Put in
has
that
to
OT.
support
Come
your
on.
Yeah.
gaming habits.
Yeah. Support my habits, woman.
Jesus. All right, Doc.
I don't know why she comes in and says, "Where's the dinner?" and slaps me. So
It evens out.
yeah.
Oh man.
It's fine.
Any other things that we definitely need to talk about here? Anything we may have missed? That was a pretty deep dive. Lots of info.
Yeah. Pretty much just leading
I
up
just
to
read
E3.
something that says no more Dorito aiming. I don't know what that means.
Oh, sorry, I skipped over that. So, you know how you spot people in Battlefield?
Oh,
you
the
basically
little
hold that left
triangle.
bumper, and you see the little triangle. People call it Doritos.
Okay.
They have done away with that. They didn't go further what that means. They just literally go, no more Dorito aiming. I'm just like, okay, fair. Cool.
Okay, cool.
What's the only way I'd pick up points? That and friggin' giving people health.
Oh, jeez. You're going to have to step up your game this time around.
I'm going to have to start shooting
Yep.
with my
Yeah.
3 clips.
There you go.
I just can't wait for the moment where Risky's got like a Thompson in one hand, he's dragging like Chocolate's ankle in the other, and be like, "We're gonna make it, hold on." Chocolate's like, "I'm fine, just
We're going to capture A. We're going to do it. I hope
I'm
they do away
helping.
with apples and blooming everything else. It used to drive me mad. Capturing
Oh,
apples.
all the point names and the
Edward.
squad names.
Oh, God,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. But
Drove me nuts.
Well, I don't know if those are. Maybe they changed the names in between the 2 world wars.
maybe.
I hope so. I hope so.
Too funny. All right, so we got the Doritos out of the way. All right, I think we're good on that then.
Yeah. Excited for Battlefield. Sounds good. Sounds good.
We're all excited. All right, well, we'll get you guys out of here. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll go through some plugs here quick. If you want to reach out to us and the show, you can find us on Twitter at CAG Podcast. Same thing on Instagram. Make sure to follow us there. We do a decent amount of tweeting. Chocolate, right? Usually.
I do, yeah. I need to jump on Instagram and
I'm still confused
some
on
more.
what we were going to Instagram. Just pictures of our faces and stuff. I think that's what we should do.
yeah, microphone when it's time to podcast.
No, I think it should just be a lot of selfies of the 3 hosts.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to send them to Doc so he can Photoshop them all together so we can pretend we're all in a studio.
Perfect. We are. Don't. We are. Shh.
High five,
Yes.
guys. Yeah, right there. It just happened. Yep.
Yep, you're the only one that clapped, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. We are also part of the 16-ounce gaming family, so if you want to reach out to us on Discord, there's a link for that in the description, as well as a Facebook page and YouTube. We'll post our content in both those places. And if you ever want to chat with us and a bunch of other people, hop into Discord. That's where we're all pretty active in there. If you ever want to have conversations about games, about whatever, literally whatever, Discord's a great place to be in the show notes. As far as me, I'm Risky the Kid everywhere. How about you guys?
I'm Chocolatebear80. You can catch me on Twitter. Chocolatebear80 on Twitch TV as well. Me and Risky stream. Risky's on Mixer. And myself, I'm on Twitch, obviously.
Thank you.
So
yes, I am.
come stop by. Say hello.
Definitely.
Duck.
DocH1X1 everywhere.
Well, all right.
That's
okay,
it.
cool. Well, we will catch you all next week. And thanks for tuning in.
Take care.
What's that noise? You guys hear that?
What is it? Hang on. Okay, you can insert sound here.
Perfect. Nailed it.
You realize-
Right.